it's Susie Walker here, editor of Psychologies. Welcome to our 1 p.m. broadcast. We're broadcasting at 1 p.m. every weekday to uplift the spirits of the nation. And I'm privileged and delighted to welcome Juliet Thomas with us today. Juliet Thomas is the founder of the Curious Creative Club. Juliet and I connected over our new campaign, which is Create Yourself, where we're trying to encourage everyone in the lockdown to get more creative. But Juliet, you're also one of our eco testing ambassadors as well. So I know that you published one of your amazing photographs in our letters page. So it feels like Psychologies and the Curious Creative Club have already got a relationship.
Absolutely.
But, I really wanted to talk to you today a little bit about what is the Curious Creative Club, why we can use creativity to overcome our anxiety and stress in these kind of stressful times. And also, I mean, your story is very inspirational, if you don't mind me saying so.
Thank you.
You've been struggling since November. I'm going to ask you about it in a minute, but you found ways to kind of overcome quite intense and challenging circumstances with your health already since November, so you're ahead of the curve. So tell us a little bit about what the news you heard in November and how you've been dealing with it since.
Yeah, so back in November last year, I noticed a small lump on my collarbone that got bigger, and in the end, after several weeks of tests, it was discovered that I had Hodgkins lymphoma, which it's quite a rare form of blood cancer. So there's non-Hodgkins and Hodgkins. Non-Hodgkins is the one that has higher rates, whereas Hodgkins is lower. So it was quite surprising that it was the rarer one, especially for my age, because I'm 46 and normally you get it either before 30 or after 60. So that was a bit of a surprise. So yeah, it was a bit of a roller coaster, really. So I've been having chemo treatment since then. The Barnsley Hospital are fantastic. As soon as they know what it is, they're on with it. So I was straight onto treatment in November, and I've been having that every 2 weeks since, and I'm due to finish on the 1st of May. So I've been in kind of social lockdown since November, really, which was a real surprise in all this. I was out of everything. The physical aspects were hard, but the lack of freedom was really hard at the beginning. I found that really tough, being a sociable person, and I go to loads of groups. So that was, I couldn't believe that was getting taken away from me. So I kind of dealt with all that back in November, whereas obviously people are dealing with that now.
But
so
what I'm really interested in about, you've been dealing with that since November, and the way you've been dealing with it mentally. And I think this is what you can really share with us today, is how you're using creativity to help dissolve your anxiety. And more so right now, with coronavirus and with you being immune compromised, your immune system being compromised, it's a very serious threat to you. So tell us about your Creative Curious Club, and tell us how that is helping you, and what can we do to help ourselves in this time.
So I set that up just over a year ago now to help people. I'd always wanted to write a blog, but wasn't sure exactly what about. The previous year, I'd almost had like a year of discovery, going to lots of different creative groups, writing groups, art groups, you name it. I tried it all and loved it all. And so it got to the point where I felt like I needed to share it, because the advantages were so good. I loved doing it. I knew, for me, the well-being benefits that it had, and so I wanted to share that. So I started the website back in January last year, and started blogging weekly about creativity and what that can do for people, as well as kind of sharing ideas and tips to get them started, really. I think a lot of the time there's a bit of fear there. How do I even begin this? They might want to do something, but they're not sure how to start. So I started giving those kind of tips and advice on how to do that. I also interviewed other creatives to get their kind of backstory on things. So people like florists and artists, which was really interesting, finding out how they came to it. But I consider myself really lucky in this situation, in that I have all these creative things to do. So I can fill my time quite happily going off.
Okay, so So help us, take us through it. So the people, we obviously at Psychologies, we're massive believers that creativities can kind of help us and support us in so many different ways. So if people are coming to the say, well, I'm not creative, I can't do that. Give us 3 exercises that can help, some creative exercises that can really help us in this kind of wonderful time in lockdown.
Okay, so I love it when people say they're not creative, because I then put them in a corner and talk to them for an hour and make them believe that they are. So everybody is creative. It's just how you interpret what creativity is. So it doesn't have to be that you're some Picasso artist. It doesn't have to be that you can go off and write a novel. It's not about that at all. I always preach that it's about the process, not perfection. So I think a lot of people have a fear there that they don't want to start because it's not good enough. When I first started an art group, the thing that I drew in there was hilarious, and I thought I was going to get kicked out. But it's all about just having a dash of confidence to give it a go in the first place, and curiosity, which is why I named the website that. If you've got the curiosity to start, you're halfway there. So a couple of things that you can do, really easy tasks. You can either join something online. So there's loads of online things out there at the moment. One is being done by Susanna Yeats, who does the 30-day sketchbook challenge, which is really good. She normally does it in January. She's done another one in April purely for this situation. And that's, again, just giving prompts, daily prompts of what you can draw. And she does videos and things like that. And it's, the levels are from here to here. So, you know, there's definitely no perfection involved whatsoever. So that's a really easy one to start. If you
to do a sketch every day.
Yeah, so I think today, what was the prompt today? The prompt yesterday was to design your own snowflake. Was another prompt the other day to find all your bits and bobs in a drawer and draw those. There's been ones like finding a leaf and drawing it 10 different ways. So it's a real range.
Yes.
And just little ideas to get you going in the first place. Similarly with writing. So personally for me, I find writing easy because that's what I do. I blog and, you know, write my own stories and things like that. But if you're a person that needs a bit of direction, it could be that you write about the situation. You know, you just journal your thoughts on a daily basis to look back in when you're 80 and think, gosh, we got through that. You know, there'll be little things that you will not remember from this time, whether that's, you know, you got close to your family, you baked cakes with them, anything like that. Just jotting it down, having those memories is great. And then the third one I'd say is photography as being key for me. So when I started out this whole experience, Matt, the first thing I did was set up an Instagram account called Soothed by Nature.
Soothed by Nature.
Yeah, Soothed by Nature. And it's similar to what you've spoken about before, Susie, on doing mindful walking. So you can take the kids into the woods, obviously, as long as you're social distancing and everything else, and really look for things to either photograph, or the other thing you can do with really young children is take a bucket and let them collect treasures from the woods. So little feathers, cones, eggshells, they'll be there now, you know, leaves that have fallen off, a whole host of things that you can pick up. And the younger kids especially love doing this. You know, they're collecting their little bowl of treasure, and then you can extend that when you get back. So you can display that all on the table. They could either have a go at drawing that, they could write something about it, or they could display it in their room on a shelf. You know, there's a whole host of things that you can do to get them really mindful about going on a walk, because not all kids love going out on walks, to be fair. I have to persuade mine sometimes. So taking the photographs is a really good thing, again, as a diary thing as well. So, you know, you can set up an Instagram account. It doesn't have to be one of these huge ones that gets loads of followers. It can purely be for you. So you can document your days while you're on lockdown, again, either at home or on your walk or whatever, and just document how you're feeling about that. And then it's there forevermore for you to look back on. And
I mean, you could do a privacy setting. I remember once said do kind of an ordinary diary rather than an extraordinary diary of you just. But if you had the moment we're doing on my walk today, so if you had an on my walk today Instagram account, for example, and then I used to remember when I used to live in the countryside, I used to do this thing of the same tree. I used to kind of take a picture in the same spot every month, and then I would have this kind of
that's a really good thing to do.
tree. And and now I'm now living in this city centre in London, on my canal boat, but I found an amazing tree that's right in front of the Google building. So it's
Brilliant.
all kind of amazing Japanese type blossom, but outside Google. So it's this really weird juxtaposition that's really kind of inspired me. And it's the nature and the modern day, and I've been starting to photograph that every day in the same place on my walk today. So I think that's a lovely idea. I love that idea. I'm really inspired by that idea.
Yeah. Another thing about going into the woods as well, which again is great for young kids. I don't know about you, but I always see faces in trees, in trunks, and or weird characters. Yeah. So I've often taken pictures of those and put them on and said, this is elephant tree, this is monster. I give them all names and things.
Right, I love that. It's a fantastic idea. I mean, and make characters out of them and then make a story about them.
Yeah.
Great. That's really great. Or I mean, because I'm on the canal now, I could take pictures of the birds and have a whole story of the birds. And
absolutely.
I mean, God, you and I are really creative, aren't we? So we could talk forever about this.
Yes, definitely.
You are really great. We were just talking earlier before we came on the call about creating groups and communities. And obviously, again, at Psychologies, we've got the Psychologies Connected community, which is brilliant. But you've been running creative groups. So tell me about why. Sorry, my window's closing. How do we create our own group, or how do we join yours? And what's the benefits of joining? Earlier that my writers group that I was part of in my village, oh my God, it was the highlight of my week. Every week I was so excited by that. So tell us a little bit about your group, and if you wanted to set up your own or to join yours, how do we do it?
Okay, so joining groups has been a massive part for me, not only for the social aspect, but you learn so much. So the first group I joined was literally a village group that's 5 minutes down the road. It's called Shelley Art Club, and you go there every Tuesday night, and they have artists that come and demo, so you learn really quickly. So I was really useless when I began, I'll be honest, but you learn so much just from these groups, and they're all willing to help. They're all much further on in their journey than you, but they want you to succeed. So that's great, and you become it's the belongingness of it as well, if that's even a word. But every year I know. Every year they have an exhibition, so you can join in on that. And I remember the first time I did it, I think I'd only been there like 3 months. It was hilarious, the stuff I put up. But the camaraderie of that, and raising money for the club through the exhibition, and then just them willing you on to do well. So since I've joined that, I've produced art cards and I sell them locally and things. And I would never have done that without their support. So look out for your local group. There will be plenty around, I promise you. And even more now, it's growing. Since I started this, it's grown loads. There's so many more out there now. Another good place to start if you're unsure of where to find these groups is to go to your local art shop. So we have a really good one in the centre of town, and they run their own workshops quite often, but they're also really aware of all the other community groups that are dotted about. So they're a really good place to look. The other ones are obviously online groups, which I've mentioned before, but again, they can be really supportive, and especially at the moment, there's loads of creative ones out there on Instagram and writing ones. The writing groups generally seem to be, there's loads around where we are, so I should imagine that's the case for many others, and they're all different.
Can I just say, I want to give a plug. So tomorrow we're starting Write a Novel course with Hodgkins on Instagram at 1:30. I just needed to do that while I remember.
Yeah, I had that on my list to mention, actually. I'm going to join in on it.
I'm going to go. So
definitely. So that's really good. But what I like about them as well, they're all different. So there's one who's an ex-creative writing teacher who literally just does it in her house and gives us prompts to do, which is great. You never know what you're going to get. So it's a real challenge. And then there's other ones that called the Yorkshire Writers Lunch, where you meet up for lunch and you produce a blog for that blog at any point. But in there, you've got a real mixture of talent, some people that have been published again as well. So they can really help you. It's great. The actual groups that I set up myself, which was hilarious, a real challenge. I had no idea how to do this. And I spoke to a creative friend who's got a gorgeous cafe called Miriam's Cafe just down the road. And she's very creative herself. And she asked me to create some writing workshops.
Brilliant.
Now, I'm not a writing teacher. I've still not been proper published yet. So I was like, how am I going to do this? But like you, we've discussed before, what I am is an ideas person and also great at encouraging people. So I focused it purely on that and came up with tasks that I knew would make the light bulbs go off in people's heads, and it's really worked. So that there are things that you can do and that you can share from your own creativity, and it almost like just doubles the joy for me. If you're sharing what you've learned, it's great. The final group that I set up is called Wow Wednesdays, which we started last year in June.
Yeah.
Purely on the back of, again, talking to Miriam and wanting to support her local business, but also wanting to support people working from home and on their own, which obviously there's many of, and even more now.
Yeah.
So the idea, I'm really not a lover of networking groups. I'd find them really uncomfortable, and I'm not salesy really. So I wanted it to be more purposeful, more useful, and have more meaning really. So we set up this group called Wow Wednesdays that I run in partnership with a friend called Claire. And we started off with 9 members, and we're now at 36, which
Okay. Honestly, I'm such a believer in getting people together and creating these creative, supportive, amazing networks. And I love what you're saying, because it's this thing of you're not sure how to do it or if it's going to work, and you've got over that. And the thing is, and then you got poorly, and you're still going, aren't you? You're still organizing it through Zoom. You're so inspirational. I love your.
But equally, as much as I love you saying that, these guys inspire me. So they're all so different. I've learned so much from them, and they've kept me going through this treatment, most definitely, to have a focus of my own creative projects to do, but also to continuing supporting those guys. And everybody's at such different levels in this group, and it's amazing. It's almost like if you've got a question to ask in live, we have a WhatsApp group as well, which is just crazy. It's bombarded all the time. And if you've got a question, you put it on that group, and within 2 minutes you'll have an answer. It's crazy. It's better than Google. So it's just been brilliant, and we've got so many ideas on how to take it forward. And since we started it, actually, some of them have done kind of specialist workshops in between the meetings, so that's been really good. We've done a vision board one, we've done a business strategy one, and a social media one. So we definitely want to do more of that, and I can just see this growing and growing. And obviously the current situation we have now, thank goodness we've been able to all do it virtually. I was joining virtually anyway since November, but now we're all doing that, and we had 2 calls last night, laughing our heads off, and it's been brilliant.
Yeah. I mean, I can't tell you how much I love what you're saying. I believe it's the secret to life, the universe, everything, which is getting together, supportive women and men, but to get together around creativity. And I mean, if anything is going to get us through the next few months and probably few years, is creativity. Thinking outside of the box, doing things differently. We're coming into this era of a lot of people think creativity is a little bit oh, it's not relevant to real life. Actually, it's probably more real life right now about coming up with solutions to all of these problems that we're currently facing that has no precedent. I think it's going to be a very interesting. I think creativity is going to come front and center.
Definitely.
And I did kindness and everything that you're doing. Amazing.
Yeah. I did a blog a while ago, which it was interesting actually. There was no research on it. We should do this through Psychologies, but basically I looked at the question of how people don't feel guilty doing physical exercise and hobbies. They go out and do it, and they see it as a necessity for their physical health. But if you had a list of things to do, creativity would be bottom of the list, because there's almost a bit of like a guilt, self-indulgent thing to it. You wouldn't be bothered about going out on your run. You wouldn't stop that, but you would stop maybe doing half an hour of painting. And I tried to look to see if there's any research around that, and there wasn't. But it was really interesting. I did like a a bit of a survey among our WOW group as to if you had to absolutely choose, would you choose physical or creativity? And there was a real split because there's quite a lot of creativity in that group. But I know for certain it would be the physical thing that would go for me, and absolutely. But it's ideally you need a mix of both, because I think the creativity helps your mental health, and well, I suppose exercise does as well. But yeah, you definitely get into the flow state that we all talk about, when nothing switches me off more than either writing or doing some art. All the mind chatter goes out of your head. You can just focus, and you can just feel your, shoulders relax and get stuck in, and I love it.
Yeah, I mean, so I love what you're doing. I would encourage everyone to go and have a look at your site, the
Thank you.
Curious Creative Club, and have a look, sign up to what you're doing, because I'm so inspired, because you're kind of living it, and under very, very extreme and tough circumstances for you now. But just with you sitting here now, it's just I just honestly, everything you said, I feel so excited about, and I
Thank
love
you.
love what you're doing. And I really hope that in some way, we'll talk about it after the call, but
Yeah.
that we collaborate in some way. Maybe you can do some stuff. We've got the Life Leap Club, all our subscribers.
Yeah.
Maybe create a kind of creative, a curious creative club for our Life Leapers or something, once a month, something like that. And you can
Absolutely. I'd be happy with that.
that would be amazing. I would really, really love that. I'd really love that. But I know that you've got to get through this. You finish chemo, don't you, on the 1st of May?
Yes, it's not long now. I'm kind of gearing. I can feel my energy levels just like ready to go for it as soon as this is all over.
Oh, so I'll let you have a little bit of a rest for the next couple of weeks, and then maybe we can reconnect, and let's figure out a way how we can collaborate together, because I know that you've been working so beautifully on our Eco Ambassador panel as well, which thank you so much for that. But thank you so much. I feel so uplifted by our talk today.
Thank you so much. I mean, I'm a huge fan of Psychologies. I have been for years, so this is awesome for me. This has made my day.
It's so lovely to see you. Thank you, and
Thank you.
call afterwards, because then we can just talk about how we can do something together. But lots of love. Thank you so much for your wisdom today. I'm gonna
thank you.
Bye
Keep calm
bye.
and create, everybody.